It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
And welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast, talking your property news, real estate, you name it. It is here 7 days a week, as heard on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon. Just to name a few, of course, there's probably 50 to 100 others that you will find us on. And we're in the middle of our working week. A Wednesday morning has turned up, September the 25th. Now, if you're trying to buy your first property at the moment and think Australia has to be one of the most expensive countries in the world for property, you would be kind of right and kind of wrong. Australia ranks 12th in global housing affordability, making it cheaper to buy a home here than in 50 other countries. And that is according to a report by bestbrokers.com. It takes an average of 12 years and 3 months worth of real income to purchase a 100 square metre home priced at around $9,131 per square metre. Now, what is the cheapest country to buy a home in? Well, it is South Africa. That tops the list as the most affordable country. Okay, so if South Africa is number one for cheapness, what is number two? You might be surprised that it's the US in number 2 position. Number 3 is Bahrain. Number 4 is Denmark. And number 5 is Ireland. And just coming back to the US, I am always constantly surprised. Anywhere between 350 and 500,000 in different areas, particularly regional, across the US, the amazing properties that you can buy. It's like a different planet, literally. So with all of that in mind, it's time right now to look at some essential tips for navigating the investment property landscape and the loan process, which of course is, as we know, the critical part to doing the whole process of setting up to buy your first property. Sarah Daly is here from Loan Market Geelong. And Sarah, any of that information about Australia being 12th globally ranked, anything surprising you?
Yeah, so I think it's amazing statistics. I think the fact that we're, cheaper than 50 other countries is a really good positive sign. Obviously surprised by the US. I wouldn't have thought that would have come in at number 2, but yeah, some really interesting information there.
Yes, the US in at number 2, although I think, Sarah, if you're trying to buy your first property and somebody tells you there's 50 countries cheaper, it's kind of like probably gets up your nose a little bit because as far as you're concerned, Australia's the most expensive place.
Yeah, correct. Look, I can see both ways. I think we know with property, most of the time it's a long-term investment and things do change. It's forever changing, but generally investing in property is things that people trust. So I think we just need to know if now's a good time for you, then it's worth exploring.
Now, I mentioned that you're from Loan Market. You've been doing this a long while, eh? So you would have seen quite a bit across the years in the mortgage space.
Correct. Yeah, there has been a lot of changes which can change the trends of the type of properties people are buying, the locations. I think, working with the right kind of professionals can really help make those educated decisions on where's best. But I feel like, as long as you've got the right people on your side and you've got a good strategy and you know what you're looking for in a property, I feel like there's always going to be options.
Now, let's just take a look at somebody who wants to buy an investment property. They might be thinking, boy, there's a lot of different things here that I've got to tick off. So somebody is in that space. What should they do next?
Yeah, so we know that when people are looking at purchasing investment property particularly, they don't know where to start, they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. We say the best thing to do is to look at the numbers first. We want to know what's possible, what can you afford, and what sort of equity or deposit have you got to put into it. And this will help us then decide what sort of purchase price they can buy for. It's also important to consider things like the costs involved, because we know that there's land tax and rental management fees. So we really want to look at those numbers in comparison to what they're going to get as a rental return. So working with a team is really important in these circumstances, because people like financial planners and accountants can really help us work together on a structure that's going to be best for their personal circumstances.
Now, you mentioned the importance of home loan structure, that working with a team, sort of insulating yourself with critical team members that are going to get you across the line. Could you perhaps explain why structuring your home property loan is just so crucial, and how does the right loan structure impact factors like interest rates, repayment flexibility, also the long-term financial stability, and I guess the overall property investment success, because that at the end of the day is what somebody's looking for.
Yes, that's right, Craig. It's such a vital piece of the puzzle when we're looking at lending. Setting it up correctly now can make such a big difference for the outcome, not just now, but for future lending. For example, is the loan going to be set up as principal and interest or interest-only repayments? This can depend on, I suppose, the client's long-term strategy, if they want to pay the debt down or if they want to focus more on having more cash flow. So part of this process and structure is we're looking at things like what deposits required. Now, when we're looking at this, in most cases, we need 20% plus cost for their deposit. Now, there's different ways to access this, but one of the most popular ways is to use equity in a current property. And we can do this by doing a separate loan for cash out. This will keep the loan purpose really clear when it comes to an accounting, and it'll help work out what the deductible debt is.
All right, so there is plenty of information coming from Sarah this morning. We are talking mortgages. We'll come back. We'll talk more after this.
Every morning from 6 a.m, we bring you the latest real estate news with diverse perspectives from leading industry experts. We deliver the most property podcasts across Australia every week.
Well, if you're a mortgage holder, yesterday was a little bit of good news, more good news in terms of the RBA. They decided not to move on the cash rate, as Anthony Landau told us.
And the RBA today, despite a lot of political pressure and chatter, have decided to hold the cash rate at 4.35%. I guess this was largely expected. However, obviously there's a lot of political noise and a lot of noise in the market about what the RBA is going to do, but they've held the rate at 4.35%.
Yes, they'd be kind of going against the grain, wouldn't they? If you have a look at some other countries like Canada, NZ, the US, that is all starting to go back. They would be the odd person out.
Yeah, we have seen Canada, UK, and recently the Fed drop their cash rate. The Fed went down from 5.5 to 5, as everyone knows. The UK 5.25 to 5. But I guess we need to put that in perspective. Firstly, their cash rates were a lot higher to start with. They went a lot harder at inflation. They've now got inflation under control. The US is under 3%. The UK is at 2.2%. New Zealand's at 3.3%. They've also got unemployment back in range. Our employment numbers last week were the big news. We created 47,500 part-time jobs. We've got a strong job market. We just got to get that inflation back under control.
We dive deep into topics like buying, selling, investing, and maximising your property's value. From mortgage advice to the latest property data, your real estate journey starts here.
And it is a Real Estate Wednesday. We are talking to Sarah, and she's a bit of an expert when it comes to mortgages. Let's have a look at some of these changes, Sarah, around the rules of holding an investment property. I mean, this is part of the whole thing. When you've got an investment property, you've got to keep up to date with just how these rules and regulations can affect you. So perhaps you can sort of talk to that.
Yeah, most definitely. So we've seen some big changes over the last few years. These changes have actually, caused some concern with people that have investment properties, or in some cases, I think, halted people actually going ahead with purchasing an investment property. Some of these things like land tax thresholds and, minimum property standards, things like having to do property upgrades to older properties, or I suppose the limited rent increases that they can apply within a certain time frame. So, these things are things to consider when looking at the overall cost of holding an investment property.
Okay, so let's look at the different ways of working with a professional broker and how that can enhance your ability to identify and, I guess, in many ways capitalise on profitable investment opportunities, especially, as you've already said, in a complex and ever-changing mortgage landscape. So how can a mortgage broker's access to exclusive resources, Sarah, improve somebody's overall investment strategies and returns?
Yeah, so I think this is why I love my job so much. I mean, the fact that we have so many lenders to choose from really means that we can help all of our clients with the loan product that's going to suit them the best. For example, the other day I helped out a client who purchased their second investment property. In this case, we used a combination of two different lenders. So we used one lender to get the equity out, and that was on a good rate, so we left it as it was. And for the other part of the loan, we were able to get with a different lender $70,000 more in borrowing capacity. This meant that my client didn't have to search around to try and find someone who could help. I already knew their goals and what they wanted to do, and so it just saved them so much time. So referring back to your question, the best thing is we have choice. With so many different policies, so many different rates and lender opportunities, it means that we're able to help our clients in all different situations.
Yeah, I kind of look at a mortgage broker very much like a jigsaw puzzle. Like you upend the jigsaw puzzle and there's many pieces, many moving pieces on the jigsaw board. But when it's just yourself, if you're not engaging somebody like a mortgage broker, when you switch that upside down, there might only be 3 or 4 pieces as opposed to 100 pieces from a mortgage broker.
Exactly. And I think that over the years, like I've made some amazing connections whilst doing this role. We've got great referral partners that we work with who can really help enhance the client's holistic sort of experience. We've got buyers advocates and agents and planners. And so I suppose it really is that one-stop shop where they can go and feel like they're being loved by so many different services, where buying a property, the hardest part for them should just be having to pick where they want to buy.
Exactly right. Well spoken. All right. Well, enjoy your Wednesday. And thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Decode the property market with insider knowledge and insights to better navigate your real estate journey on the Real Estate Podcast. Every week, real estate transactions take place as the market shifts month by month. And every day, we keep you better informed and updated on the Real Estate Podcast.
Yeah, 2024 has been quite an interesting market, I would say, here in the ACT. Definitely people are starting to get a lot more confident to get into the market now, with interest rates on hold and continuing to be on hold. But overall, we have seen quite a stabilisation in the market here.
24 hours, it sort of ticks up, doesn't it, in terms of property prices incrementally every 24 hours, depending on the postcode, you're making money.
Yeah, definitely. I think bricks and mortar are the safest investment. So there's always people looking to transact, especially in the market that we're about to enter into in the spring market here in the ACT. We have the largest inter and out-of-state transfer in the country around this time. So things keep ticking along, which is really nice. And there's definitely people starting to be more confident to transact.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.